What's up guys, I'm Kai Young and today I'll be reviewing the Dayan Tengyun V3M. I really like this cube. I think it's super underrated and I highly recommend you get it, so here's why. Side note, the cube does usually have a Dayan logo in the center. I took it off so that I could compete with this cube in 3-blind, and I haven't replaced it yet, but the cube does come with 2 spare logos, which is nice if you feel like replacing the logo. First of all, the box is super nice. I think the white and then like rainbow reflective thing looks great. And inside the box, it comes with this accessories box that holds the like adjustment tools, and then underneath that it has stuff like this bag and a screwdriver and some pamphlets, I think. But yeah, just kind of the basic stuff with the cube. And then the cube itself comes in this orange box with a weird warning label on it that I really don't think needs to be there. The box, just the top slides off like that. You know, a box is a box. This one is kind of transparent orange. I guess that makes it cool. The cube itself out of the box is fantastic. I could tell that like the tensions and stuff weren't quite perfect for me right out of the box, but the setup itself was just so good right away that I considered not messing with it at all because it was already so good. I'm really happy with Dayan for finding a setup that works well on their cube out of the box so that users don't have to set up and like just mess with a bunch of different settings just to get the cube to be usable. It did have some lube on the outside of the cube right out of the box, but Tengyuns are kind of known for that. The actual tensioning system is a bit disappointing because it's pretty much exactly what we saw in GAN cubes years ago. This is basically the same exact system as the GAN X and the GAN XS, I believe. It works. It's a little bit of a hassle since you do have to physically replace these parts in order to change that setting in the tension. But I just wish Dayan had a bit more innovation because we did see basically this exact same thing in GAN cubes several years ago. I'm pretty sure these things change like the screw depth thing. Obviously there's not an actual screw in here, but I'm pretty sure that's what they do. So it's a tensioning system that works, but it's just basically the same thing we saw in GAN cubes years ago, and it's also a bit worse than what we saw in those cubes at that. On the spring compression, the tool like just pops out of that like that, and then you just twist this and turn. And there's 4 different settings on the clear thing for the spring compression. The magnets are also adjustable. So they're only on the side of the corner that's like opposite to either the white or the yellow color. Like it's only right there. And I really like this magnet adjustment system. You just put a screwdriver into that little notch and then you turn it. And there's 5 different settings. You can kind of see the dots there. So the strongest is all the way over here. And then you have 4 more settings all the way down to the weakest. It's hard to tell on camera. It's a lot easier to see in person, but there is a tiny bit of an arrow that's pointing in the direction of where it goes. So I do really like this magnet adjustment system because you only have to adjust 8 things and then you've adjusted the magnets for the entire cube. It's really easy, it's really fast, and it's better than the magnet adjustment system in things like the Tornado V3 where you have to like adjust both sides of the edge, which is 24 adjustments. No one wants to do that, but 8 adjustments, 1/3 of the adjustments is really easy. So even though the tensioning system in the core was kind of old and just clunky, the magnet adjustment system I think works really well. And you can adjust it with the screwdriver that comes in the box. Orange is the strongest, so like most depth in the screw. I don't know how to explain it, but basically tightest, medium, and then what I have in my cube is the loosest. And then for the spring compression, I have it on the tightest spring compression, and then also the strongest magnets. So that's how I have my cube set up, and that made this cube just perfect for me. Like, it turns fantastically. It's a very solid, kind of blocky cube. It's not super loud either. It's really quite quiet. And it feels amazing to turn. The corner cutting on the Tengyun I have, obviously, is just fine. It can do line to line, but I guess not quite over. So I guess reverse corner cutting isn't quite as good as maybe it could be, but when you're actually solving, the corner cutting is just fine. I dug out my Tengyun V2 just to see how they compare, and they do kind of feel like similar cubes, like cubes in the same line, which obviously they are, so it's nice that they feel similar. And the Tengyun V3 definitely feels like an upgrade from the V2. They both kind of have that just same solid feel. So I think that people who loved the Tengyun V2, or even just liked it, will really, really like the Tengyun V3. And of course, the big question is, how does the Tengyun V3 compare to other big flagships, like the Tornado V3? I would say it does really good. It's definitely not going to be a cube for everybody, but I think a lot of people could really, really like it if they gave it a chance. So I recommend either straight up just buying it or trying it at a competition, because it is $35, I think. So it's definitely not a budget cube, but I would say it's worth the price 100%. And I think there will be people who prefer the Tengyun V3 over cubes like the Tornado, because even though people aren't really talking about this cube as one of the really great flagships right now, I think it kind of is. Even if I don't main the Tengyun V3, this is probably still going to be a cube that I'll just pick up and use sometimes, because it really has a great feeling. It's smooth and controllable, and it's not super, super fast, but it responds to fast turning really well. It's maybe a bit blockier than cubes like the Tornado V3. It's probably, I don't actually know the weight of either of these cubes, but they feel kind of about the same weight. So it's not super heavy. It just, the pieces kind of just feel more solid. I don't know how to explain it, but it's a really nice, dependable cube that I think is definitely getting overshadowed by some of the other big flagships. One thing I forgot to mention is I'm super consistent on this cube. Of the 5 solves I've done so far in this session, they're within a second of each other. Yeah, it's just nice to be consistent on this cube, because it's a great cube just already, but being super consistent on it is a huge plus. I competed with the Tengyun V3 twice. I used it in 2 3-blind means and in 3 rounds of 3x3, and it performed really well. I did pretty good in 3-blind, getting a PR single with the cube, and I didn't break any PRs with it in 3x3, but I was able to get some pretty nice official solves on it. So yeah, that's my review of the Tengyun V3. I hope you enjoyed. Bye.